All right, Marc and Corey from Dirty Honey are with us, man. It's good to see you guys again.
You too.
Corey, how's your wrist doing, man?
It's getting there. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, like a week and a half after the injury, and not much I can do except just kind of wait it out.
Now, I know you've been mountain biking like your whole life, right?
No, I actually just started mountain biking specifically like 3 months ago, but I grew up riding BMX and racing motocross.
Okay. Yeah. So now, Marc, if you break your wrist, it's fine. But so yeah. Corey, did management be like, listen, you need to back it down on the mountain biking after this?
They're just like, hurry the bleep up and get better because we got work to do.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to do a little, I want to do, start back with your first EP came out March 2019. Your management had you guys right on the road, man, wasting no time at all. In January of 2020, you released Last Child by Aerosmith, which was a smoking version. Tom Hamilton tweeted about it, which was very cool. And then, you guys were on the road. You played New York September 24th. Marc, we first spoke in August of 19. Then you guys hit New York in September. I was actually out in Vegas seeing Aerosmith. So
I remember that.
Yeah. So finally, I got to see you guys when you hit the Knitting Factory. In February 2020, you played the Knitting Factory, and you guys just smoked live, man. Like, great show. The first time we talked, you had said, management threw you guys out there, because I was going back and I was looking at the tour schedule, and I was like, they really threw them out there. I mean, these guys were like, like nonstop go.
Yeah, they put us right out, they threw us through the ringer, so to speak, touring, and they just wanted to make sure we could handle it, and I think that it was a wise move to do it that way. It definitely got our live chops up, and, we played a lot in bars and stuff, but playing a 4-hour show in a bar, playing some of the same songs twice is a lot different than playing like a curated 30, 45 or an hour set. And, we learned the ropes real fast that way. And, we were out for most like 18 months straight, pretty much. But we loved it.
You just come off the road. You're basically ready to go to Australia to record your next album when they stopped flying because of the pandemic. Is that correct?
Yeah, they actually shut the borders to Australia the day before we were supposed to go. So,
and what was that like? Were you guys like, well, fuck, now what are we gonna do? Like, were you bumming out? Was there panic? What was management saying? What was the producer saying?
Yeah, I think in the grand scheme of everything that was happening, us making a record wasn't the most important thing at the time. I think we kind of took a step back, and it was pretty serious.
That it was.
I remember that night specifically being like, this is kind of scary. It was scary. There were curfews everywhere. The streets were dead. It was genuinely pretty scary. And then flash forward a couple months later, I think we were pretty grateful for the time we were given to make a better record ultimately here in LA with Nick on Zoom.
And, one of the things I saw that you said is, you didn't want to write songs about the pandemic. And I can tell you on my show, I acted like there wasn't a pandemic because I wanted to take people out of it, because that's what rock and roll does. But I remember thinking this couldn't have happened at a worse time for Dirty Honey because it just halted everything. But that being said, you guys rallied. You did a live stream in April in conjunction with Harley Davidson in a fucking basement, and you guys jammed. Whose basement was that?
That was actually a studio. It was kind of like a home studio a friend had, and We rented it out from them for the day for almost nothing. They were super happy to have anybody coming through at that time because that was still lockdown straight up. But yeah, you know, we just, that was fun actually for us because we hadn't played together in a while. And I remember doing the first song and we were like, fucking sweet, you know, this feels pretty good.
Well, I thought it was a smart move to keep, you know, enough time had passed. And I said, okay, I think this is a great idea to keep the band out there. I like that you were all in the same room because, you know, so many people were doing these live streams where they recorded separately and then you're seeing 4 different people on the screen. And I'm like, that's not live, you know?
Yeah.
And you guys went in there and jammed.
Yeah. We like to shoot things a lot too with no cuts in the cameras because that's rock and roll. Like,
yeah,
it should feel live and energetic. And, you know, I think the cinematography sometimes helps us achieve that dynamic. So
then you did it again, July 24th from the Viper Room, which also rocked. So I think, you know, as much as the pandemic came at a bad time for the band, I think the band made the best of it. And on top of that, recorded a new album. So, you know, the time was used wisely.
Right. And I think to add to what Marc said a second ago is that ultimately it obviously was like a super unfortunate thing that happened to the whole world, but like we were able to make a better record because of it.
Yeah.
A way better one. And yeah, to your point with the Viper Room again, like, I think we learned from some of the, not mistakes the first time around with Harley Davidson stream, but I think that gave us the opportunity again to step back and look at what we put out on that first live stream. And it's like, okay, we've done one now. How do we make it better if we're going to ask people to pay for it? And, you know, I think we came up with a pretty good, I saw a lot of these live streams that were either too small. They were either just somebody with a camera just like this playing acoustic and like people are charging $10 for that. And I was like, that's not really good bang for the buck. And then I saw some other ones that were way too slick and it didn't feel live anymore. It was camera movements. And I was like, how do we, you know, I talked to the cinematographers and I was like, how do we get in their face a little? And, you know, so that's what we tried to do. Whether or not we achieved that is up to the fans.
I think you did. And, you know, playing in the Viper Room, playing in a club, did that add more to the feel of it, do you think?
You know, it was cool having all the like show dynamics happening with the smoke and the light show. And, you know, we had the PA on full blast in there and that was all cool. So it felt probably as good as it could have without an audience, but nothing can recreate the feel of a live audience.
Right. So the new album is coming out very soon. You've released California Dreamin' and Tied Up. Now, Tied Up is a song that you guys already had. You had been playing that live in concert. Mm-hmm. Were there other songs that you had worked on that didn't make it on the album that you had been playing live on the tour?
Yeah, there was a few other ones. John and Marc actually had a really cool acoustic idea for something that was tracked in the studio, like kind of last minute, that didn't quite get fully flushed out enough to make it on the record. And there's also another song that we played on the live stream that we all really love that we did a demo of during pre-production for the album that
was slamming.
We all really liked it a lot, and it was just like a really raw, energetic, cool performance. But yeah, when we got into the studio, don't know what it was exactly, but we just kind of couldn't quite capture that same magic. And so that didn't end up getting on the record, although we love the tune. And Justin had pretty much a full tune that he did that we recorded that also didn't quite make the record. Yeah, so there were a few other things that we had to kind of trim off.
Now, on that song, Tied Up, I hear, first of all, that has such an Aerosmith boogie to it. I don't know if you...
Thank this guy for that.
Huh?
You thank this guy for that.
Dude, and you're a phenomenal drummer. I've had some drummer friends listen and say this guy's off the hook, man. He's like he's incredible. But there's a song off Aerosmith's last album, Music from Another Dimension, called "Out Go the Lights," and it just has that same kind of boogie. And I said, and that's what I like, blues-based boogie rock and roll. And I think that you guys combine all those elements. Now, I hear a female backup singer on that song.
Yep.
Who is that? She's also on Another Last Time, right?
Yeah, so that's all name Shoshana Bean. She's really talented singer, Broadway actress. She'd been a friend of Nato's for a long time, and back in the day, we had her record on something with us. And just always liked her tone, as like sounding like a gang of chicks, gang of background singers. And I think from pretty early on, when we were doing Tied Up, I kind of everybody always thought to sound good with some BGs on it. And she was the first call we made, and she obviously, like everybody else, wasn't doing much during the pandemic, and she was kind of do it for us. So
yeah, she's got a phenomenal voice, and she's also on Another Last Time, correct?
Yeah, she's a kick-ass singer. So
yeah, and do I hear keyboards in that Another Last Time?
Yeah, there's organ and the other
Rhodes or Wurlitzer.
Wurlitzer, yep. And that's our friend Nigel Hall. He did the organ on Down the Road.
Okay, which that was one of the things. A lot of bands your style are not afraid to add keyboard or even horns, totally. On songs.
Yeah, totally.
So let's talk about the new album, because you had one of the things I read, you said lyrically that California Dreamin' was kind of about coming out to California and making it in rock and roll. And let me backtrack a little bit. The first time we spoke, you said, well, I write a lot of my lyrics about, life experience and all that kind of thing. Well, during the pandemic, there wasn't much life experience going on at all. Yeah. And tell me if I'm wrong, but it's what I hear, that it's almost like a reoccurring relationship theme in a lot of your vocals on this album.
Yeah, there's a lot of it's discovering yourself. It's relationships with a partner. It's loss. It's there's themes of like dealing with addiction. And that's not to say those are all my personal experiences,
sure.
But I've definitely dealt with people that have dealt with all those things. And I've obviously lived through some of those things, but yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Okay, yeah, because I got sent the lyrics, which I was really happy about, and I was reading through the lyrics, and I was like, kind of like a theme here, and maybe that's just my interpretation of it. Gypsy and No Warning. I mean, those two songs go hand in hand, and I think Gypsy is a phenomenal song. To me, Gypsy is the kind of song that could be a hit single, because it's very catchy. It's very you hear it and you're like, it's familiar right from the first time that you hear it.
It's a great riff, and that one started with the riff. We had this riff that we knew we all really liked that John had written, and then it wasn't until Corey started just bashing on a snare one day at a rehearsal that I was like, you should do that, and then John come in with that riff you have, and then we all kind of knew, like, we're fucking on to something here.
You also, I read somewhere, said No Warning could have ended up in an Allman Brothers box set. And quite honestly, I hear that more in Another Last Time. Another Last Time sounds very influenced by Allman Brothers, Black Crowes type of thing.
Totally. Yeah.
And, after, go ahead, man.
Yeah, that one originally was written in open G, I think, just noodling around, in that tuning, which is very Rolling Stones, Black Crowes. Obviously, the Allman Brothers use some open tunings, but it was just a chord progression, and I was lucky enough to happen on the melody. But yeah, all those influences there. That's with the Bee Gees too. That's got some Stones in it. And we actually, it's funny you said No Warning, because we actually did a swampier version of it that we wanted to record for a box set that had some slide guitar on it and shit. And it was really swampy and cool. And we'll probably do something with that in the future.
The Morning, that's another song that is very Dirty Honey, you know, and again, you have a sound. It's like, the whole album sounds like Dirty Honey, but there's certain songs where I'm like, that's Dirty Honey. You know, like right away, you're like, that's just got that Dirty Honey sound. You know, I think Take My Hand and The Morning probably are the two tracks where I'm like, that's their sound right there. It's like, bam, you can hear it.
How John described The Morning was if AC/DC tried to do a Van Halen song.
Yeah.
I really like that description.
That's a pretty good description, man. So the whole album is very, very good. I've been listening to it over and over. Now, you kept this album at 8 songs, and it clocks in. The songs are quick. I think you only have 2 songs on there that are over 4 minutes. Was it intentional to keep this album shorter?
Just wanted to keep it all
really good,
high quality stuff. We didn't want to have any filler or anything we weren't super proud of or felt was up to our standards.
The one tune we were just talking about that didn't make it was like 6.5 minutes or something, and it was the only song that was on everybody's list of their top 4 songs that they wanted to record, and you know, we just didn't nail it quite right in the studio, but it'll rear its head out on tour, I'm sure.
That one I think will definitely be an extension or a broadening of the Dirty Honey sound.
Wings and
of our broken wings.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think that's a good idea because look, you know, when albums were out, you could only put 44 minutes of music on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the CD comes out, it's 70 minutes you could put on there. And every band thought, well, we need to fill 70 minutes. And I don't care who the band was, there was always filler because that's a lot of music. That's like a double album, you know, back in the 70s. So I've seen other bands basically do, you know, the same thing where it's like they keep it at 6 or 8 songs. And I think with, you know, the way things are today, people's attention span, they don't have an attention span. Things move so quick. Did that play into it as well? Like, well, you know what? Let's keep it short, keep people's attention. And, you know, Corey, like you said, obviously, we wanted it to be really strong, which it is because you just go in and it's like bam, 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 each song right up into the end. I mean, it doesn't even really take a break until, you know, Another Last Time.
Yeah, and I think the goal was just for every song to be of that quality. And, you know, we're not beholden to a label or to a manager that is requiring us to fill a 70-minute CD or whatever. So,
yeah.
You know, our whole philosophy is if it's not great, why would we put it out? Let's wait until it's great. And I think we made 8 really, really great songs that we're all super proud of. And in this era of singles, you know, you need a hit single to go on tour with for the next 2 years. Like, I can't remember the last record I listened to and I was like, wow, every song was great from a rock standpoint in a long time. Maybe probably the last one I can remember in recent memory was the Black Keys Brothers. I love that whole record through and through. That was already like 10 years ago.
Yeah. I hear you on this record because I know you're a fan of Otis Redding, and I hear you like digging into a little bit of soul type singing on here.
Yeah, certainly on all the tunes you want to have a soulful performance, but yeah, there's that acapella breakdown in Tied Up is very soul-y, Motown, for sure. And then, you know, Another Last Time is definitely a very soulful tune that has a ton of blues elements in it. And yeah, those influences of old blues tunes and soul songs, you know, like Sam Cooke and stuff, those definitely creep out too.
Again, I just want to say it's a kick-ass album. I like it. I've had it on literally for days. I just keep going on it. So looking forward to the next time you guys get out there, man, and be coming to see you.
Us too, man. Hopefully sooner than later. And you stay safe out there, and hopefully we see you soon.
All right. Marc and Corey, thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
All right.
Stay
Take
safe,
care,
Jay.
guys.
You too, man. Be good.
All right, I will, man. Bye.
Later.